even worse when you get sick. But when I introduced it, at least that company, we have about 5 companies in Kenya currently who have, I think there are more who are coming. There's APA, you can write that for yourself or information for your, you can use it elsewhere. There's APA, that's the first one who did it and I took it with them. There's CIC, there is UAP, there is, I think there is UAP, there is about 5, I think I wrote them somewhere. Okay, I try and remember. Yeah, I've got it. APA, UAP, Britam, Jubilee, Sanlam, CIC, Liaison. I'll repeat, APA, UAP, and then there's Britam, then there's Jubilee, Sanlam, CIC, and Liaison. That's the ones I know. Maybe there are others that you might get. But the first one was APA, and the rest have followed suit because they've realized it's a necessary cover. And this cover that I took, the time I was taking it, I think, is it possible to just go to the table? I'll show you something about the table, then I'll talk about it. See this now the trustees, leave it there. They'll not have a chance, the benefit of seeing what is there, but this is available, okay? So this is the generic, sort of, it applies to most of these schemes. It might have been improved. By the time I took it, my inpatient I took was 5 million. The outpatients I took 200,000. And I decided to take, you can take the bronze, which is like 500,000, outpatient 60, silver 1 million, outpatient 100, gold is 3 million, outpatient is 150. So when you're negotiating with the insurance company, you can actually improve depending on the relationship. But I took the one of 5 million and 200,000. And why I did this is when I got my first, when I left employment, I was paid a gratuity. And most of us, when you have a gratuity, the first thing you buy a matatu and a few other things. That's typical of Kenyans. Or you start a quail business, you just find out what people are doing. If everybody's doing chicken, you jump there. You also start your chicken business. But one thing I did, I bought a medical cover. The medical cover that I bought was for 5 million. That's me and my wife. It's joint. We bought a joint one. Make sure it's joint. But the outpatient, normally, the 200,000, we decided that she takes 100, I take 100. Ukimaliza yako, pambane na hali yako. You know, so she has 100, I have 100. So I use it. If I reach 100, I stop there. Last year I finished mine. But her, she kept hers. She just finished hers the other day. So everybody has to just divide. But you are free to decide that 200 can serve both of you. But we just found it that you have yours and I have mine. So that's a general agreement. This particular cover, go to the next chart. Yeah, the way it works is this. If you are a young person of 20 years and you take a cover today, the premium, like for platinum, which I had, was 2,754 per month. So if you take gold, for instance, you only pay 2,000 per month. If you take bronze, it's 1,200 to 65. And if you're 20, this cover will go for the next 40 years. So you know you're retiring at 60, isn't it? So it is 40, 20 plus 40, that means it goes up to age 60. So you will find out where you fall yourself, what age you are. If you're 45, know that you are required to pay about 10,520, or if you're 40, for instance, you'll pay 7,355, but you only pay it for 20 years. 20 years, so that by age 60, you stop paying. So, and if you pay monthly, it's okay. It's good for somebody who's young to start paying now. But if you reach my age when I is left, go to the next chart. Next chart. I left employment at 59, but I decided I don't want to work anymore for government, for anybody, work for myself. So at 59, I was required to pay 228,000 per month for 1 year, because the idea is to accumulate 2.5 million. So if you have that lump sum somewhere, then you can easily just put it in the insurance company, take that cover, and you stop paying, it's for life. You get me? It's for life. I don't pay medical cover anymore. So immediately I jump from employment to this cover. Me, I'm covered like anybody else. I get all the benefits like you. There's no difference. So you put that money there, and that means if you're able to accumulate it, the math's very easy. So for you people that you are starting your in-house one, then you can have better schemes than, okay, we go for insurance company. You can also, maybe at the end of the retirement, they can still buy cover for them. I know I've seen that with a number of insurance. Shell is doing it. They buy for you, and then it's now you and the company. But then once you reach age 60, now you stop paying. So me, when I left, the following year I was age 60, then I just took my gratuity and paid for that medical cover. And most of it, my gratuity went there. That's what I did with my payment. So I knew that was necessary. Then after that, when I was out there, I was not sure, because this was a new product, whether it works. So one day I had a cough, I went to Nairobi hospital to see whether it's accepted. I gave my card, and my card was accepted, because you're not sure whether it's working. My wife had an accident one time along Thika Road, taken to Aga Khan, and she was treated like anybody. She was accepted and treated. There's a card there. This was this APA. The card has only my name. She also has the same card, and it has only valid from 2017. There's no expiry date. Why? Because expiry date is when I go to my maker. Isn't it? That's the expiry date. Because I paid the one off, and it will just be there. Now, yesterday they gave me a virtual one, because it got spoiled. I told them, why don't you give me a new card? I said, no, we have virtual one. So they sent me a virtual one, which is on my phone. But before, there was a card, which I used to go with, give it to hospital, and put your finger, and you're done. Okay? So for inpatient, she's 5 million, which basically both of us for 1 year. And rarely all of us will be sick. But outpatient, you find everybody has challenges. But that one, the good thing about this is a one-off payment, and then you don't think about it anymore. So if the employer can help you have one, it's something I really would say is a very good thing you did. I was the first chairman of the Public Service Pension Scheme, and I had 3 things that I told them they should have. One is have a good pension scheme, which they are doing. Then they had to introduce the post-retirement medical cover within the government system. What I was happy that the ministry actually worked on that policy paper. We finalized with it, and even the government put seeding funds to it. So it's something that, because civil servants, when they retire, they don't have anything. And that was something that was really pushed, and it's doing very well before I left. So why I say this also is because I had a friend who had a challenge that he was unwell, but he had a BMW, he became sick, and we had to collect money for his Arambe for treatment. We sort of delayed, and my friend passed on. So after that, we had to do Arambe for his funeral. And by that time, we needed 500,000. You know how much we collected for the funeral? 3 million. Yet we could not collect 500,000 for his treatment. But 3 million Kenyans can collect, because we are the ones going to eat anyway. But when this guy was alive, we were not ready to collect that money. So you have to make sure you have your own arrangements, you know. Your children can help you. But when you have your own arrangement, it becomes much easier. And we did that. My card has helped me quite a bit. In 2006, I had colon cancer. So I was to be operated at Nairobi Hospital here, 7-hour operation. Some doctors were very good there. And the difference between you and me is my colon is half. Yours is full. So when you eat food, you can keep it for long. When I eat food, mine, I don't keep it for long. That's the difference. Okay? But otherwise, we are all the same. What I know is everybody has cancer. That's what I know. When you have that disease, you really read a lot. Everybody has cancer. Is only how it mutates and how you manage it. And there are ways of managing it. You have a network, so if you have people here have such challenges, we can have a private chat on how do we manage some of these things. Okay? I always tell people. I'll give you my number, by the way, because you know in retirement people don't call you. My number is 0726. I'm not worried about you calling me. 664422. 0726 664422. If you don't get me, send a message. I'll reply. Because what I'm seeing on my phone these days are promotions from nowhere. There are so many. This promotion, this vehicle is being sold here, this. Those are people who call me. My friends don't call me anymore. They stopped calling me. Okay? So these things are very many. So after that, when I was sick, that was done in Nairobi Hospital. That was done in 2006. But then when COVID came, we were one of the first people who got COVID. So that time I was taken to Karen Hospital. You're put in a room alone. Nobody comes to everybody. People can't visit you there. The guys come in white. So you wonder what next. Then after that, I spent 1 month in my house, in a room alone. The food is being given under the door. You know, you finish that food in plastic, you return it. It wasn't a very good experience. But when I came out, that was paid for by my post-retirement medical cover because I already left. Then I happened to get sciatica. You know what sciatica is? It's a common disease which I call it occupational disease because of sitting. If you're a manager, you sit for so many years. Over 40 years, you're a GM, you're a CEO, you're what? Most of the time you sit. And then the vertebrae 3 and 4 sort of separated because you're sitting so much. So every profession, they have their own disease, eh? So check, make sure you check. So because when they separated, now it affected my right leg. And that's why you find that some people walk with throwing their legs. What happens is when that happens, when they separate, the bone presses the nerve. So the blood doesn't go to the legs. In fact, my doctor at Aga Khan, I always say, tell people, he's a good doctor, he's called Dr. Fazal. I found him in Aga Khan. I was introduced by my doctor. What he told me that he was worried was not the pain in my back. In a spinal surgery, it's very sensitive. So, and I was very scared, but everybody was scared about spinal surgery, even my family. If you tell them I'm going for spinal surgery, they know if you might not, they go there, you might not come back. But his worry was that if I delay, the toe is the one which will, because the blood is not going to the toe. So you lose the toe. And if you lose the toe, that's why you find people walking with their legs like that. And I didn't realize that until I went to him and told me to stand on my knees, and I could not stand on my knees. He said, yeah, my problem is here. And he has to do this surgery very fast. And because of technology, these days they don't cut your back. The first spinal surgery person I went to, he told me how he'll cut the back, join the bones, and put a screw. But when I went to this other doctor, I was advised to. And both of them are just along that Aga Khan, the spinal office or hospital next there. This Dr. Fazal says him, I think he used to. The leg. So I was okay. And they told me, go home, because you stay in hospital, there are other diseases. So just go home and recuperate from the home. And that was spinal surgery, because if a mistake is made in your spine, you may never walk again, So when you go for some of these things, you have to be very, very careful that you don't find yourself in those kind of things. But these things happen. And that was like 700,000, and it was paid for by my post-retirement medical cover. And it would have been quite expensive to do this. So I like to encourage all of you, please push for this thing, even if it's the employer doing it, and it's necessary, because it will help you in retirement. Because that's the most important thing. Cash you can have, but then now I've told you, cash, land, whatever, will not help you in retirement. You cannot change. This guy died, yet he had a BMW. The other day, I think the wife was selling the BMW. If they sold that BMW, maybe they would have gotten money to take him to hospital. So that is the first thing. I note that as the first thing that's important. Post-retirement medical cover. Number 2, I know I have a very short time. Liquidity, cash. Not cash, go to ATM and produce money there. That's what you need. Why? In retirement, you have no cash. Most of the cash has gone. When you're working, every month you get a salary. But you stop working, there is no money. Why? You need small cash. When I was CEO and commissioner, these guys used to give me 7 newspapers, Nation, Standard, Taifa Leo, we call it Harvard, all these things, they're being brought to you to read. The day you retire, you have to buy for yourself. Do you have to buy the 7? No. Do you have to buy 5? No. I started by buying 2. I was not used to buying papers for almost 30 years. And it became very difficult. So sometimes we go to the club and read the paper from there. These days I just read it from the phone. Just read a few things from the phone, because you find, not that I can't afford, but I find it's quite difficult. But you need that small money to keep you going. And this is where pension now comes in. Pension or your gratuity. I took a pension, but you can take gratuity, it depends. But I say what I done, you people can decide what to do. And why I did take a pension, or it was that I didn't want to get involved in the investments. You know, sometimes now when you take a drawdown, so you want to know how much was the return last year, went down, and a friend of mine took a drawdown and tell you what his experience was. So mine was not much. Mine was not even indexed. It was fixed, where you just paid one figure per month. Okay, for many years, the value might come down, but if you can take indexed, then it means it will be changing depending how the economy performs. And what the insurance companies normally do, if you take index, it's always lower than the fixed one. So me, I just say, you give me my 100,000, whatever it is, let me get it every month. So I know every month on 25th, it lands from the insurance company. So that's my income. Every month I check whether it has come. Same with my younger brother, also retired. So both of us, that's our income. So if his come, I know mine is coming. So if you're in the village, we can always take you to buy, you can buy for you meat on that day. So it depends on who gets his money first, you know. But at least you go to the bank statement, there's something. Because if you stop working and you're used to seeing salary every month, it becomes quite a challenge. And the worst is, pension is very little. That's one thing I can tell you. The pension you're going to get is like 10% of what you have accumulated. In other words, if you have accumulated 8 million, you'll get about less than 80,000 shillings. Okay? If you buy a pension today of about 12 million, that's when you'll get 100,000. And here you are a CEO earning almost 1 million shilling. And now you're getting 100,000. 900,000 has disappeared. And you're used to it. Forget about taxes. It just disappeared. So you find most people in Kenya, their pension is like 40,000 and below. And these are people earning over 500,000. So you find that if today your salary is like 500,000, you'll be getting 50,000 every month. That's very little. And that's why you find there's a need maybe for making a separate additional contribution for your own. Because the one thing you should do, work out, ask your pension manager to tell you how much pension you'll add if you leave today. And you get a shock of your life. Because people normally wait until the last day is when you realize that what you're going to get is very little. So what I'm telling you, what you have accumulated today, just take 10%. Remove 1/3, then what you have, take 10%. That's what you're going to get per month. And if you are below 65, KRA will tax you. No, I was also in KRA. They will tax you. Okay? By the way, when I was a tax commissioner, I'm the one who made that mistake of taxing pensioners. Because that time, the demand was revenue, revenue, revenue. I went to RBA for 16 years, trying to convince my fellow commissioner at KRA to change that rule. They have refused. They asked me, but you are the one who came up with it. Why are you wanting to change it? So when you do some of these things, please be careful. It will affect you. Because you're a VAT commissioner, you tax this, you VAT this and this, and all this, and it becomes that but at least one thing they agreed was that once you reach the age of 65, you don't pay tax anymore. It's something that I introduced. I wanted it brought to age 60. About a year ago, 2 years ago, parliamentarians wanted to change that rule. Together with RBA, they wanted to change it that because they want to increase revenue, they do away with that benefit. So we had to lobby. I got retirees, we got together and went and saw parliamentarians, told them, you are ready, our pension is very little. Most pensioners get 2,000, 3,000, then you want to tax it. So we convinced them, so that was retained. So anytime they bring it, we'll definitely defend it very seriously. So when I reached 65, I wanted to see whether it is there. It's not there. So me, I get my pension without tax. So anytime they start that story, because these are not retirees, we have to fight and make sure they don't. So above 65, there's no tax. Other countries, even food, if you go to buy food in a shop, VAT you don't pay because you're a senior citizen. You pay tax all these years. So why should you continue paying? So that was something that worked very well for us. You can take a drawdown, it's also an opportunity. But what happened to a friend of mine when I don't know, the other day he was told by the insurance company that his monthly pension has reduced. I know he's already used to getting that money. Then when he asked, he was told, there's a bond valuation. So he started a big war. So I said, okay, so you see, I said, you are better off before, now it depends on the economy. So you are free to go for any, but think about it very closely. Number 3, please don't go into retirement with a loan. Don't try, you have a mortgage, and I've seen people doing that, and you think that you're going to do consultancy. May I do consultancy for you and for Alban? They don't pay you on time, sometimes they don't pay you, it takes so long, and even the consultants I do locally. I teach at the University of Nairobi, basically part-time, for the last 13 years. But if they don't want to be full-time. So they also pay you, lecturers are not paid as regularly as possible. So you cannot be able to sustain the monthly repayment of mortgage. It looks as if it is possible because you think you'll be doing so much. You can get a business from government, but it takes long before you are paid. So it distracts your income. But so if you, that time I told you to start consolidating, you prepare so that by the time you leave employment, the house, especially the house you live in, matrimonial home, should be loan-free. So that those other incomes, the other houses you have, those ones you can decide what to do with it when things get bad. Okay? So that the house you stay in is loan-free. The only thing like I pay is land rent and land rates. Okay? How we eat now in Shauri yetu, tunapambana nayo. But you pay land rent and land rates. But the house is no longer on mortgage. So you work when you're consolidating to make sure that your house loan, your matrimonial home, is loan-free. That way you are at least happier that at least you have somewhere you can put your head, because it becomes a big challenge if you have a house and you don't have a house and you've been working all these years. I know some people who had houses and their houses have been sold because they thought that business is there and the real business is not there. And let me tell you, when you have a loan with the bank and you go into arrears 3 months, they come for you. When I was a CEO, the bank managers used to come to my office. You don't go to the office. They look for you. You want this money or you want this. But when I left, because I had a small loan, now the lady was not calling me. The secretary, some assistants and those were calling me. Your loan is in arrears. I said, why can't the manager call me? He's in meetings. She's in meetings. Now she has no time for you, because she knows you are gone. So, and when I call her, I say, why didn't you call me? Because I thought we were dealing at our level. He said, no, that's bank policy. It's a bank policy, so it's somebody else. But before, they used to come to my office like every day. So things change, and you must be ready to live with that. So make sure you don't go into retirement with loans, so that at least you are free of loans. And that's what I've taught most people, and the ones who are doing it. At least go, even if you are going to be having nothing, start a clean slate. Somehow you'll survive. But so long as nobody is calling you every day that you haven't paid. Okay? Then I tell you the fourth thing is make sure, try and get something to do. Business, or do something of your passion. Something which makes you, because when you have a lot of time, it becomes a challenge. When I retired, I used to go and live, yes. My wife was still working, Me, I'd retired. So every morning, before she never used to ask me what's my program for the day, because I would leave and go, and even when I'm on leave, I'm at home. But when I was retired, then she started getting worried. What is this guy going to do the whole day? Then we were left, me and the house girl, the two of us in the house. So in her mind, she wondered, what are these guys doing the whole day? What are they doing the whole day in the house? Just the two of you. So I had to make sure I go to lecture, do a few things. But not every day you are lecturing. So it's important that you get something to do, at least to occupy that time. Because that time can be a challenge. Because when you start working, you work like the whole day. I used to come late in the evening. So somehow you have to keep busy. One time I did same lectures to some university lecturers on the same. And as I came back from Nakuru, the lady who I carried, a professor, She told me, Dr. Dunda, what you are telling us, I think is true. My husband retired, and these days he's become stressed. I said, oh, what? Well, why? This guy, before when he was working, he rarely called me. Just called one call during the day. How are you? Fine, fine. These days he calls me 10 times a day. Every time, because he's idle, women have a way of managing their social life. Men don't have. We are so dependent. So now when you are left alone, now the person, because your friends are not calling you, nobody is calling you, she's the only one you can call all the children. Children also, you don't want to disturb them, so you call your wife. So this guy calls me 10 times a day, and I'm working. Before he never used to call me. I want to go to Chama, he wants to take me to Chama. And he goes and he sits there and waits for me to come out. And before I shall go to Chama, come back whatever time. And they get even worried that you are coming late. And the lady was going and coming late. When she comes by 5, 6 o'clock, the man wants to know where she is. And that was not an issue. So a lot of operations take place after retirement because of this kind of things, which was not necessary. Because she gets so frustrated that this guy calls every 10 minutes, half the time he wants to be telling me, Shama, what? So men, we must plan how we can use our time. I know we have challenges, but we force ourselves to see how we can also organize our time. So it's important that we organize our time and we have something to do. So get something to do which will keep you going. The number 5 is please be close to your family. It's critical. Okay? Be close to your family. As a CEO, as a commissioner, at those levels, I had very many friends when I was working. But once I stopped working as a commissioner, as CEO, I used to have 3 phones. After time they are ringing. These days, have you ever had this phone ring? Nobody has called it. Okay, but when I was the CEO, the phones were ringing, all of them. Sometimes you give it to people to help you receive them. But once you leave the place, that is the end of it. And that's the real life. I used to say when I was CEO or commissioner, in December I used to get a lot of gifts. You take gifts, they bring you T-shirts, what. KPLC also used to bring me a few things. Your pension scheme, these days they don't. I think my friend there knows. So these things were not for me, they were for the office. You understand? The benefits were for the CEO, not for. And my family thought those were mine. Even I got used to it, I thought those were my gifts. So those were not mine, they were for the office. So once you move, it moves with the office. So nobody has time for you. Nobody calls you. If you go back to your office where you used to work after retirement, even getting in is a challenge. Nobody wants to attend to you. You're on your own. Me, when I left, I've never gone back to RBA to do what? I didn't care because first of all, the people there don't know you. You tell them you're working here, so what? So what? Doesn't matter that you're working here. Who cares even if you're working there? So you just make sure you're on your own, you do your things alone. So it's important that, because people I call now is my wife and my children, maybe my brothers and so. Those are the people I call already, and they're the ones who can call you. So you have to make sure, because if you let your children go when they're very early, you don't call them, you're not close to them. So when you retire, see, they're used to that. When you start calling them, they start wondering, why is this Mzee calling me? But before, because you had made friendship, it's like a normal friendship. So you become close to them, so when you call, it's easy. And when they call, you know who is calling you. My wife, when she retired, she realized it's the same thing. She don't know, her friends are not calling her anymore. So at least she knows my call when it's ringing and her call, and so you put special bars, because you know who is calling you. So those 5 things. Before I go to the next realities, I want to see whether you are good students. Number 1, what should you have? Medical cover. Number 2, liquidity, cash. Proper cash, they're not a building. Those ones sometimes you can't sell. Sometimes you think of Hilton Hotel. What is the value today? Many buildings in the town have just gone. Yes, in your balance sheet you have them there, showing how they are. So you have to think about it. This sometimes becomes a problem. Number 3, don't go into retirement with a loan. Please try and pay all your loans if possible. Just start afresh. Number 4, get something to do. Yes, business, something you can occupy. Your passion. passion can be something that maybe your parents used to force you to do, and then you didn't like it, but you did it, and you did it very well. Now you find that when you're out there, you are the only person who can do it better than anybody else. There's a small video I'll show, but I don't know if I'll have time. Passion comes out of many things that you do, and you do it without pressure. You don't even do it for money. Something like I teach, not for money, just to impart knowledge to students and do those board dynamics, not for cash, but at least it keeps me going. When I come here, I talk to you, we share during your free time. So, and then number 5, very important, close to your family. Okay? Because, you don't put God in numbering, and God, is always above all of us. That one is the most important, because we are very close to our Maker, so that one is a daily thing. But these are things that you can do. Then you can add others that you want, okay? But let me tell you some things which are realities in retirement, which are part of it I've already mentioned, but then it's good to... I've talked about, at that age, this age of 65 or above, we men, our body structure changes, okay? We are not as active as we used to be when we were young. So the wife should not expect you to be that strong man she knew. And what happens, and that's part of what I teach when we do this course, we teach people about psychology and what happens in medical. That at that age, when we were young, when we went to play football in the playground and we feel like you want to shoot somewhere, you just go to a corner and you shoot. And you have no problem. At my age, you go to the bathroom, you're all holding the wall like this because it's not coming out. You have to pressure. It's not that easy because of the body structure changes. So you are not the same. The same with the ladies. The man should not expect you to be the same lady who was as active as he was sexually and whatever. So you should not go and start taking Viagra out there. He will die. Yeah, it's something will cheat him that, he has to go out there to get some who are very active. And because he knows he's not active, he takes Viagra. He just collapses and die there. It becomes a big challenge. So I always tell men, not like ladies always see gynecologists, like very frequently. So it gives them a chance of all the time being checked. Men, we don't see gynecologists. You should see a urologist. You ever heard of a urologist? Those are our gynecologists. So if you have your husband, tell him to start seeing urologist early. He'll take care of some of those problems you think he has, because that's their job. I knew few, Magoha was one of them. There's another Dr. Mogere at Kenyatta, at Nairobi Hospital, and a few others, okay? If you go there, you'll find quite a number of men there. But you need a urologist, because they really help you manage your cholesterols, the fat which is in your body, and they also be able to help to manage your libido. All those things is part of what they do. So we need to see a urologist just like the ladies do see the gynaecologists. It really helps a lot at our age, because you'll have definitely issues with urinary system, prostate, and such things. Then, by the way, how many of you have life insurance? Raise your hands up. Life insurance. How many? How many have taken life insurance? Wekaju kabisa ndio watu waone ni wangapi? About 4 or 5. Why don't we have life insurance? And you're not the only ones, by the way. So don't feel funny. When I was addressing judges in Mombasa, when they had a whole session of Court of Appeal judges and all the judges were there, when I asked how many had life insurance, he's the current Chief Justice, and I've about 4 of them. The rest didn't have. Because we have this feeling that if you take life cover, you feel you'll die tomorrow, eh? That's the fear most of us have, that tomorrow you will die. But it's always good to express your wishes, so that at least somebody knows, like I was telling you, a lady goes, the following day everybody jumps into your bedroom, to a closet, they're all taking your clothes. Because you never gave any orders of how those things should be disposed. Because you should always have an exit plan. That I'm not there, these clothes of mine, maybe you donated them, but not somebody coming to choose. No, when you are there, nobody comes into that room. But that happened to a friend of mine. But when the wife died, that room became a beehive of activities. Shoes, nini, that was where the focus was. But if you had given your wish of how things should be disposed of, it makes it quite easy. The other thing I tell people, please invest in your children, not for them. They should not just sit there expecting that your money is theirs. I had a friend of mine who had a house in Upper Hill here, and the son of 10 years, when they were normally, you take your children where your investments are. So they see. Then he asked, oh yeah, okay, this building, what's my share? He's 10 years. He wants to know his share. Then he started to ask, why do you want to know your share? I don't trust my brothers. So you see the mentality already there that these assets are ours. And it happens even in Upper Hill, where some old man has refused to sell these houses government was giving, and the children are there, they always push, telling him, you sell this thing, Chinese will put up so many houses, we get so and so, and this kind of a thing. Because their focus is your wealth. Okay? And so they wish you to die so that they can sell those properties. Because you don't want to sell because of your personal attachment to these things. But then they want to dispose them off and share. This lady bought, the policeman who bought a house in Otiende Estate, and that house, he thought when he retires, that should be rent when he goes to the village. So he passed on. The wife used to rent the house for about 10, 15, 40, 15,000 something. So she used to receive that as her income. But the sons pushed her so much that there had no jobs, this house should be sold so that we can get money and start some business. She gave in, sold the house, divided equal to all the children. She went to the village. Today, she's in the village with the boys. They finished the money got finished, they are back there. By the way, I always feel we actually lay down the boy child. Somewhere, we focus so much on the girl child. At the university I teach, 75% of my students doing masters or levels are ladies. The boy child disappeared somewhere because of lack of mentors along the way. And I think we are to blame for that. We have to see, and again, and the mothers also spoiled their boys. They push the girl child to do all the work. You are cooking, you are doing this, you are in school, you are doing this. When they come out, they are stronger. What do you do with the boy child? You give him a ball, you give him a computer, he sits in a corner, and he does his own thing. And you can say, oh, Papa, what do you want? Daddy, what do you want? No, Papa, Daddy, Nini. The boy is just, easy life. So in the wrong day, when he's 40, he's still staying with you. And he said, where do you want me to go? And even if you get him a house to stay, he'll be coming to take food from your house. Isn't it? These are realities. Because where does he go? Then he's used to that life. You buy a house, you give him a room, it has everything. Now you want him to go and start living alone. And I asked the boys in my class, what is the problem? They say, you people empowered the ladies and left us out. And the ladies are strong, by the way. If you see Gen Z's ladies can even hold a rungu and beat you up. So the other generation, Alpha, will be worse. So you must really take care of our boy child, even now, and see what we can do. It's something which is very, very important for us. Secondly, please don't be the gatherer. Because you become the gatherer, they become the what? The scatterers. Because they are not interested in some of the things you are doing. But we are interested in gathering. So don't be the gatherers. So we are the gatherers. They are the scatterers. I have friends who have hotels. The sons who are taken to the US, they have refused to come. So he wants them to take the business. They are not interested. They always tell him, we want us to suffer the way you are suffering. And they're not doing much there. They don't want those houses of yours. They don't want that land of yours. They're doing a few things on their own. So ladies and gentlemen, I can think I'm taking too much time. Let me stop there. Thank you and God bless you. Thank you. Sorry for taking it.
Thank you, Dr. Dundo. Please, let's put our hands together again. Dr. Dundo was a CEO. You are just an ordinary, like me, employee. How will your life be when you retire? That is what he was telling you. Instead of getting it from us, from Members Education, you got it from the right person. He retired as a CEO. How will your life be? That's a question that you need to go home with today. So thank you so much, Daktari, once again. And Chair, allow me very quickly to request the technical team to project the QR code so that we can just have a feedback to help us manage the fund. QR code, there are 2 questions that will be projected. Please give us that feedback very fast. The first question is, in what areas would you wish the fund to put more effort into? You can select more than one. We have healthcare, benefits, investment, general service delivery. You can pick more than one. The next question, are we done? Right, very fast. The next question is, I think is projected. Thank you. The next one is, which of the following services offered by the fund are you aware of? Income drawdown, this has been elaborately spoken about by the trustees. Additional voluntary contribution, AVC. Members self-service such as the mobile app, USSD, and the member self-service portal. Last one, post-retirement medical fund. They have been adequately explained right here by our trustees and our chief guest. So please give us that feedback. Right, as that goes on, I will invite, because of time, Steve Maduka to come in front so that he can give a few of the questions, just a few, because a number of them were answered during the DB time. I'll just ask him to give us just a few questions that can be dealt with by the chairman. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Joseph. And as you have said, I will just read very few questions in the interest of time. And the first question that we have is from Kenneth Anakoli. Kenneth Anakoli is asking if an employee on contract can contribute to the retirement medical fund. Kenneth Anakoli is an in-service member. These are questions that came through the Q&A feature of the Zoom webinar. There's also another question, Chair, from Gideon Otieno Dance. And he's asking why the DC fund does not carry out a member education and awareness program or activities, just like the way the DB fund does for its retirees. Why the DC fund does not conduct member education for its retirees, same way as the DB fund does for its own. Dan also had another question, and he's asking if the fund is considering having an IDD representative in the Board of Trustees of the DC scheme or DC fund. Chair, if those questions can be responded to, I think that would be fine. Then we'll move to taking a few questions from the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve. On question number 1, it is true Hello? Yeah, thank you. Currently, contract employees cannot contribute to the fund. The only contract employees who are allowed to contribute are those who were initially in employment, who were in P&P, permanent and pensionable. And later on, their terms were converted to contract. And in this case, we are talking about the managers. You remember, we had senior managers who were on P&P, and later on they were converted to contract. So what we did as a scheme, we wrote to the RBA to request to allow us to have those on board so that they can contribute. We did get the approval, but when it came to now allowing contract employees to do the same, it was difficult. Why? there has to be, the argument that was advanced was for contract employees to contribute to the pension fund, it has to be done jointly by the employer and the employee, and that is where the difficulty was, where the employer cannot contribute, make its contribution for contract employees. So it's until that time when the employer will accept, that is when that will be accepted. But for now, what we are trying, and most of you know, is to try as much as possible to have all those contract employees being permanent and pensionable. And from the other position I hold in the union, I think there is already an effort towards that. Once you do that, you have to review the trust deed. That is our constitution. So we were able to do that for the senior managers. Now we're on contract. Why doesn't DC Fund conduct member education for retirees? I want to confirm that the Secretariat, together with some of the trustees who have been going around on member education, we've specifically been carrying out training on ID. For the retirees, the only area that we narrow and focus on is IDD. It is IDD, and we will continue doing this. The other last question was having a representative at IDD. This is a matter that we already seized off as a board. And as I mentioned earlier, with a fund value of 1.6 billion, then we are now moving to a situation or a figure that will require us to have this as a standalone. And this will be very soon, in the next 1 year, 2 years or so. So we are going to have 3 units, the DB, DC, and IDD. And that's why in my speech I mentioned about IDD. We intend to register it next year. Once it's registered up and running, then we are going to establish a fund for IDD. How, the structure, the shape that it will take, I think it will depend. But essentially, obviously representation, a big chunk of representation, or not even a big chunk, I think the entire representation of IDD will now be from retirees, and maybe a few of the existing members who are in DC and contributing. I think that is it, Steve. Yeah.
Chair, in the interest of time, the many other questions that you have gotten through the Q&A will be responded by the Secretariat, of course with liaison with the trustees. Chair, we have also received some compliments through email, WhatsApp, and text messages. But in the interest of time, we'll not read all those many compliments, including the one from Daniel Wadeto. So at this point, Chair, I would request that we take some few questions from the members that are present here. Simon is going to assist in moving around the mic together with Ian and Nehemiah from the other side. There's somebody behind there. I think that's Phyllis.
Yes, good afternoon. God is good and all the time. Yeah, I came here to represent my dad, who is 85. And the doctor who was there, he talked almost about, if I'm not out of the topic, about those people who are working. I'm talking about this scheme of medical scheme. He talked more or less about those people who are still working or who are almost to retire. Now I ask, now my dad is 85. And there's this about NHIF, where we are a bit confused, and about something called SHIF, and also about something known, because I come from Kiambu, Wamatag something foundation. Now, my dad, can he join this scheme because he's still getting his pension? Or maybe because I found the limit was like 59 years. Does it mean now those people who are above 60 because they are almost about to die, they cannot join this scheme, or what about it? Yeah, thank you.
What's your name, please?
Joyce Gatogota.
Oh, right. Simon, pass the mic.
Good afternoon. My name is Cyrus Kimani. I'm an in-service member. I am referring to the annual report and financial statements, page 16. There is a graph on return on investments. And I was just looking at the performance of members, our money. The last 2 years, it has not been encouraging, negative 3.1 and 0.2. And we understand the macroeconomic environment has not been good. And apart from those external factors that have affected our performance, because I've seen the fund as indicated down there that it has put in strategies to turn around these poor performance for the last 2 years. So my question was, what are these strategies? Thank you.
Thank you, Cyrus. One more, then we can have trustees respond. You can pass a mic here. It's already 2, so we need to be so straight to the question that we have. Our lunch is beckoning.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Mugo. This medical cover, will it include the dependent who are below 25 years?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Trustees, I think we can have those questions responded to.
Okay. Madam, the representative of the 85-year-old, I wish we had the means and the capacity. Unfortunately, it's not possible. It is not possible because you're in DB scheme. You can't join, I think that was a question, Steve. It's not possible to join the DC, the IDD, so it has to remain the way it is. So ours is only to try as much as possible to make sure that we invest well so that we continue getting, the mzee continues getting the pension. Unless I didn't get what you're asking, moving to which, Steve?
Yes, Chair, the father who is still a pensioner, maybe can join the current arrangement that we have for the retirees, where we can pay the annual premium on his behalf and recover in 12 equal installments from his pension. That's the only option that is available to him, and that is from the DB side.
Yeah, so here, madam, I think we are limited to that. On, is it Cyrus? Cyrus, I think you've raised a very pertinent issue. I would have allowed the fund managers to take up this, but I think in the interest of time, and this, you heavily presented the performance for the last few years, and specifically for the last 2 years, the performance has really been wanting. Our room, leg room, as trustees, is limited, and that is why ours is to develop a policy, and the fund managers are the ones to ensure that that investment policy, they follow it to the letter. And the macroeconomics, whether external or internal, the only internal that comes in for us is prudent management in terms of administration. But you will agree with me, the way the fund is run, most of this service we outsource to the fund managers, and we keep them on check. And for sure, if you are in DC, you must have heard that in the DBHGM, it was presented by one of the fund managers. We do a survey. Zamara does a survey. And last year, the schemes, the best scheme did, is it 0? We were told 0.4? Yeah? Averagely. So, and even when we did negative, we were still a bit better. So as long as the macroeconomics remain the way they are, then we may not even do much. I think that is, in terms of RBA compliance who are represented here, we've tried as much. In fact, in all the asset classes, for the DC scheme, we have adhered to that. So let's pray the macroeconomics changes. Let's pray that the strategy that we put in place, what we are saying, the strategy is really making sure that that strategy we put in place is up and running. I think there was one, Elizabeth asked about Steve. Did you capture that?
Yes.
Maybe you can respond, that is your area.
Yes, Elizabeth was inquiring if a member who is joining the pre-funded post-retirement medical fund that Chair you said was established in June 2024 can also, at the time of retirement, have his or her beneficiaries being covered. That will be possible. But of course, the more beneficiaries that you place under cover, it means the higher the premiums. That is possible. Of course, we started the other day, and more details about this post-retirement medical fund will be shared. There is a booklet that we already have, and maybe you need to get a copy. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah. So maybe 2 more questions, then we can have the rest of the questions being forwarded to the trustees through the info account that you already have. So from that side, and then finally to that gentleman. Yes, please.
Good afternoon. Mine is actually an encouragement. I am a retiree. I'm in my 6th floor, room 2. Now, I want to encourage those who are still in service, because when I left, I'm actually enjoying my DB benefits and my DC benefits. And I'm very happy I remained behind to listen to this, because I've learned so much. I thank you, Chair, because you said that those who went to other farms, they can come back after 5 years. I can't wait, because I went to another farm, insurance farm, Nakimenilamba. So I want to encourage those who are in service. By the time you are retiring, have all the information. We are told information is power. Don't just go to take your money to any insurance. We have, there's a guy who, this officer has stood and told us about Gene Africa. I wish I joined Gene Africa and remained in KPPF, because I have got my own challenges there. So I want to encourage those in service to stay in KPPF. Okay, I'm not hired by them to do advertisement, but I know what I'm saying. I know now the weaknesses that are out there. I fell victim of those insurance guys who come, especially when, I don't know who tells them that you are retiring. You find them on your desk. So I fell victim, and I used to meet them outside the house at a hotel there at a cafe. And they enticed me, and I took my money there. So I am now a victim. I wouldn't want anybody else to be a victim like me. In fact, I can't wait those 5 years I come back to Gene Africa and return my money there, so that I start earning the benefits. So stay home. I'm coming back home to KPPF. I had gone to an insurance where I suffer, and I'm not alone. My colleague here, she is suffering the same. Maybe how you can help those retirees who are suffering out there. Maybe do an SMS, ask them, are you suffering in an insurance firm, and you want to come back? And then you advise us. Because me now, I can't come back until 2028. So I have to suffer for those other years remaining. So mine was to just encourage you people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that unsolicited support and promotion of our income drawdown fund. It's a game changer. It's a solution. Yes, from across?
Yeah, my name is Geoffrey Wavero. I would like to ask one to the secretary of the fund and to some of our investors. I have 2 questions. One, can our custodians and those who are in investment management tell us as members, specifically Umeme Plaza imetupatia pesa ngapi? Because we are crying, we are doing bad, and I know that asset is good, but returns are almost zero negative. Second, I have been coming to this AGM for the last like 5 years, and it seems there are de facto trustee members. Can we be told if there are trustees who are permanent members? Because there are some who are ever there. Some change, some are ever there. Can we be told why as members?
Thank you, Geoffrey Waweru. I think we had agreed those were the last two questions that we are picking, and trustees and the trust secretary will respond. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. So I will take these two questions, Chairman. So thank you, Geoffrey, for those questions. So number one, about Umeme. So Umeme is in DB, so he's not in DC. So that's a question that probably should have been asked during the DB. The only property in DC is Kirichwa, which is currently under development. But nevertheless, so in terms of, so there is already an initiative around the Umeme and current, and the initiative is to be able to dispose the two properties. We've gone through a journey. I think Umeme we had started to see whether we could redevelop through a joint venture because of what you saw in terms of the allocations levels. So in DB, we no longer have any room to be able to put in any additional funds. And therefore, the only options is to be able to exit. And that exit is what we are currently undertaking. So that's on Umeme. On the issue of trustees, we are heavily regulated, and the regulator is here, so he issued regulations. There are also guidelines that are issued from time to time. And there is also the RBA Retirement Benefit Act that governs all these aspects. So as far as our scheme is concerned, we are in compliance and we are adhering to those regulations. So elections fall due as members finishes their terms. So I think those are the two questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I think as indicated, maybe, Madam, the one who was so happy that the 5-year window will allow her to come back, I think I need to clarify. What we meant by 5-year coming back is if you invested in a different income drawdown. Currently, we have that unit within us, the income drawdown. And the law now allows those who are contributing, who are in the income drawdown, you now have a window. After 5 years, you can move to another income drawdown. And if by the time you're also exiting, you decided not to invest in an income drawdown, you decided to go to another income drawdown, and you realize that income drawdown, as you rightly put, but in this case it's insurance, you decide to come back after 5 years, we allow you. But, and let me emphasize this, if you went to purchase an annuity insurance, the law does not allow you to come back. You will remain in insurance forever. I must state that. That is the law. Once you've gone to insurance, you know, you will sit down with the insurance, those insurance guys who are buying for you mandazi and tea. You will sit down with them and agree with them. There are many models that they will present to you on what you'll be earning on a yearly basis. They will tell you your pension will be escalating. They will tell you, we'll give you an average of this amount for a whole year, and that is it. So I wanted to clarify. If you want to purchase an annuity with insurance, it's unfortunate that you can't come back. The law does not allow us to have you back. That is the situation. And that is why I want to look at you guys in your eyes. And this is what Madam was saying. Please, those insurance guys will come with a lot of goodies. You can hear now, Madam, what they are going through. So let us remain in our pension. You know us. Some of us, even the positions we hold, we mess the pension, it will mess us even the positions we are holding. And that's why we are religiously taking care of this pension fund. We know what it means. So That's what I wanted to clarify. Secondly, Mr. Odundo talked about what is called income, and thank you very much, Daktari. I don't know, he has left. There is the income, he talked about when you retire, you will get a paltry 10% of your last salary. He was calculating, kama ulikuwa na 1 million, utapata 100. But I want to give you some comfort with us. Our income drawdown, at least, Steve, is a bit better. If you contributed well in DB, you should get around 20%. DC now is around 29%. So if you combine the two, when you retire, you should be able to get around 45%, or even up to 50%, depending on your salary, the way how you're earning. So our replacement ratio relatively is good. That means if you live with 200,000, you're almost guaranteed of almost getting 80, 70, or even 100,000 per month. That's what I wanted to give you comfort and assurance. And that is why, as trustees, how do you make sure you get a better income drawdown? You must have a good salary. You must contribute, and this is what one of the trustees was saying, additional voluntary contribution. In fact, civil servants are contributing 7.5%. Across KenGen is contributing, employees are contributing 10, the employer is matching with 20. So every month for KenGen, 30% of your salary goes to the pension. But for KPLC, you are contributing 5, the employer is contributing only 10. We are trying to push the employer to improve, but the employer can only push the increase if you also increase yours. But as we push the employer, because the financial situation, that has been the argument of the sponsor, until the situation improves, go for AVC, additional voluntary contribution. Contribute more. When you retire, you will get a better income replacement ratio. And that includes the chairman's report, trustees' report, investment report, and the audited financial statement as having been received and adopted. Ladies and gentlemen, there being no other business, I would like, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, to sincerely thank, I repeat again, our sponsor for your continued support, all our members for attending and actively participating in this AGM, and all other occasions where your participation has been sought. Number 3, our service providers for their professional support. 4, the RBA, as usual, for continually promoting a conducive regulatory environment for retirement benefit schemes. And finally, the Board of Trustees and the CEO and the Trust Secretary and the Secretariat for their concerted efforts to promote and protect the interests of the members throughout the year. I now, as your chairman of DC, declare our 18th 2024 AGM officially closed. God bless you all. And in this, as I hand now, I request, before I call a volunteer to close with a word of prayer, I will hand over to Joseph. But otherwise, thank you very much for the remaining part of the day. I wish you all the best. I wish you a good weekend, and and also for the remaining part of the year. Mungu wabariki. God bless you all. Asanteni.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Can we put our hands together for the Chairman? Another clap for our trustees. And another one for our members, esteemed members. You've done us proud. And the last one, but not least, for our service providers. Thank you so much. Lunch is going to be served at Nyama Ranch. I don't know whether it is Nyama. It is the name Nyama Ranch. Namachoma will not be provided, but because of a pastoralist, we are going to provide. So Nyama Ranch, please, after this. So I want to invite Trustee Imelda. You can come in front and pray with us, and also pray for food. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Please let's stand up for a word of prayer. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I want to give you thanks. Thank you for this day. Thank you that we've had 2 successful meetings. I want to thank you for bringing everybody safely to Safari Park. So thank you for our pension fund, for the success we've experienced in the past 1 year. And we want to pray that you go ahead of us as we plan for the coming period. So I want to thank you for everybody here. Pray that you bless each person. And as they go home, pray that you give them safe journey mercies. Father, we have food before us, which you're going to take. Pray that you bless it and bless our time together. We give you thanks for everything. And just need to pray and believe. Amen.
Power Choir, please, you can come in front and give us a number, but please, let's clap for them. They have done us proud. That was indeed good. Thank you so much. Give us a number as we walk out. The secretariat will lead you to where we're going to have lunch. Thank you.
Guidelines of 2018.
This is an arrangement whereby members can save while still in employment for medical care in retirement.
The fund was established by the trustees, of course with concurrence from the sponsor and the Retirement Benefits Authority. Contributions to the post-retirement medical fund, I would say, will be dependent on one, the members' keenness in securing their post-employment years. Number 2, their financial ability to make these contributions. And number 3, the target medical benefit that they are keen on enjoying once they have retired.
So there are different modes in which a member can access the benefits.